Are we matching right now too?
Why not?
Good to go? All right. Welcome everybody to season 4, episode 14 of Motivate Me 313's podcast. We got another great show lined up for you today. Looking forward to an amazing episode. And, you know, we have a guest here that it's one of those moments where you got to appreciate it, you know, as a team and as a community and as a city. Whenever you have guests that come here who are of this man's stature, and that is Dearborn Mayor Abdullah Hammoud. If you want to, give him a round of applause. You know, I'm being serious, man. I was driving home from work. I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, you know, it's very rare, and you should appreciate it. And you say, alhamdulillah, you know what I'm saying? You get an opportunity to sit down with somebody like yourself, you know, who, you know, like I said, you know, I said this probably to you a couple times already, you know, where a lot of people look at you as a leader and as a role model. And so we appreciate you for all the stuff that you do. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to pick your brain a little bit. And, you know, we have some very important conversations. Absolutely. As you know, we are going to be addressing today sectarianism and nationalism. And, you know, we're going to also talk about the current state of Dearborn as well. But important conversations that I think our community needs to address. And the best way of doing it is through conversation.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. So shout out to the Mayor, Abdullah Hammoud, the Mayor of Dearborn. He is in the building today. Before we even start the conversation, be sure to follow us on all of our socials. We have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under ozmedia. And you can find all those channels on our website at ozmedia313.com. Shout out to the sponsors of this show, Hanley International Academy, Holy Bowly, Wingfellas, Melike Kebab, Jebel Coffee House, and Royal Kebab. We're enjoying some nice Adini Shahi from Jebel Coffee House. So let's go ahead and give a shout out to them, Yusuf. And then we're going to officially get the show on the road. Shout out to Jebel. Jebel Coffee House offers all of their customers an elevated coffee experience. If you stop by any of their locations, you will see a coffee house with a luxurious design, innovative spaces to meet with your friends, as well as exceptional service. They offer the best premium Yemeni coffee and quality crafted drinks. You can try their fan favorite, the Adini tea, iced Jebel latte, or any of their refreshers and matchas. Also, don't forget to add one of their delicious pastries or desserts to go with your drinks, which we guarantee will satisfy that sweet tooth. They currently have a location in West Dearborn, with locations coming to North Carolina, Illinois, Florida, Ontario, and California. You can visit their website at jebelcoffeehouse.com or download the Jebel app, available on all your smartphone devices. All right, we're officially back, man. You were just saying how much you enjoy the Adini Shahi, Mayor. What were you saying about it, man?
I was saying the Adini Shahi, the secret here is that it's homemade.
Yes, sir.
And so compliments to your wife who makes phenomenal Shahi Adini.
There you go. ML, you just got approved by the mayor, by the way. She's going to love that part right there. So shout out to the wife. You know, first of all, let's do the check-in. You know, how are you? How have you been? Last time you were on the show, I think it was a couple years ago, man, and a lot has changed. You know, the city, our community, a lot has been going on back home, you know, in a lot of our home countries as well. A lot of the residents that live in this Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Detroit area. But, you know, we've seen your face in a lot of news outlets, you know, representing the community very well. And so, you know, talk to us, man. How's your personal life, too? You know, we want to hear, you know, that, too. I mean, it's not always about, you know, work and stuff, but also your personal life as well. So how's everything going with you?
Alhamdulillah, honestly, I have no room to complain. Family as well. Daughters are growing. I think maybe before the last time I came, I have 2 daughters now. Alhamdulillah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kattirun. I mean, girls are the best.
And
to reach Jannah, we need 3.
Yeah, I know.
So to my wife, if you're watching, we need 3 girls.
One more.
Yeah. You know, Dearborn has been in the media a whole lot. And honestly, it's kind of nice for that break since the election. But at the same time, it just goes to demonstrate that we're in the media because of the politics in the campaign and not because of the war and the genocide that's unfolding. You know, the media is not talking about Gaza as much anymore, which is extremely unfortunate because the genocide is still happening. The starvation still continues. The occupation is still ongoing. What's happening in the West Bank, what's happening in Jerusalem, what's happening in broader Palestine. And so, you know, we have a role and responsibility with the media outlets that we have. So media might not be calling us, but we still have a responsibility to be sharing through social media and our talking points and our interviews. And we continually do so. And obviously there's a whole lot happening across the Arab world. You know, I know when I approached you saying, hey, I think we should get on a podcast to talk about a situation, no one would have imagined what's unfolded over the last month, let alone the last week. And so, but here we are. So alhamdulillah for everything that's happening in personal life. Alhamdulillah for all we have going on in the city. The city's moving in the right direction. I can't believe we're coming up on 3 years as mayor.
Wow.
Entering our 4th year.
Can we give that a round of applause, man? Hey, when that just shows you getting things done, man.
Yeah, they say the days are long, but the years are fast.
Yeah.
Quick. And here we are. So alhamdulillah, heading into 2025.
So what are some pressing issues? Let's talk about the city of Dearborn. I see that you now have the Mayor's Minute, which is a great idea. Whoever came up with that, I know maybe it's you or some of the team members, but I think that's a great way of just talking about things that are kind of happening, keeping people updated. But overall, what's some new things that are happening in Dearborn?
We just opened up about a month and a half ago the first fully inclusive playscape. So it's a playground for children of all needs. That's at Crowley Park. We're opening up the second one at Ford Woods. That one will be opened up in the spring, and we're announcing a third one hopefully in January.
Inshallah. And
the goal is that families across all of Dearborn will be no more than a 10-minute drive to a playground that's accessible to all children.
Love that.
And that is a beautiful goal. We'll have our new pools opening up next summer. We have investments we're making all across the city. Some of the Peace Parks are open. Peace Park West and East, Peace Park South is under construction. That one should be open by the summertime. We'll have some pickleball courts there, soccer turf, basketball courts. Hopefully we can host a game at the Peace Park South basketball court. It's going to be the nicest basketball court in the city.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you a pickleball guy, by the way?
I've never played pickleball. All
right.
I need to.
Yeah,
I've heard about it. But we have 4 pickleball courts at the Civic Center. We have 2 we're adding to the south end, and we're going to announce 7 more coming soon. And so hopefully we'll have many pickleball courts for all the fanatics out there.
Yeah, it's growing.
I know, because I heard it's a game, regardless of how skilled you are at any sport, you can participate in and stay competitive.
Yeah.
We're working on a lot of economic development issues. You see, we just put out a grant for businesses on Warren Avenue. You have the ability to receive grants up to $100,000 or $200,000 to help improve the outside of your facility. And we basically bring in the architect and the contractor. We come up with the design, and then we help facilitate the contractor to do the work, and the city pays for 90% of it. We ask for a 10% match from your end.
Wow. Can we give these a round of applause, man?
Yeah,
these are some major stuff right here, mashallah.
We launched a Arab American Woman Business Program, and so this is for women entrepreneurs and business owners or individuals who want to step into entrepreneurship. And so we have a boot camp in partnership with the Arab American Women's Business Council. You go through a boot camp, and when you finish, we can even get funds to help with the startup dollars that you might need to kick off your business. But we're really thrilled. There's actually a woman who I met in the South End by chance. I got a call one day saying, hey, there's this woman who educates other women on how to become tailors and learn the skill of sewing.
My mom actually might be working with her because she's been doing, right, Yusuf?
Nah.
Yeah.
And she's phenomenal. And I got a call the day before saying, hey, do you mind going by the graduation, passing out some certificates? I said, no problem. I walk in there, and they did a whole fashion show. And I asked, how did this program come to be? And this woman that won the lottery to come to America. By the way, that's a 1% chance, not even, to win the lottery to become a citizen. Came over. She put up a sign one day saying, hey, I studied this back in Yemen, and I want to teach others to the same skill that I have. Got a sign up of 100 people. She filled up her class, and now she's pumping out class after class. So as a part of this grant for Arab American women and other women who want to become entrepreneurs or businesses, we're actually going to give her $50,000 to set up a whole shop and make it as formal to continue this on. It's one of the greatest success stories that we have, and we'll highlight it more once the federal government signs the dotted line and hands over those funds.
We got to figure out if she's be down and willing to come on the podcast show.
Yeah. She probably will.
All right. Well, there you go, man. Some awesome information and updates. Alhamdulillah, man. Mashallah. Shout out to Dearborn, man. It's definitely one of those cities that, people, when you live in the area and stuff, you kind of get caught up in the, I'm from this city. But in the grand scheme of things, I like to be around the area because, you're proud. You're proud of what's going on. And, I think, it's a hotbed, man. I'm going to be honest with you. The whole area right here, this whole east side of, Michigan. But, I'm proud of what you're doing, the leader of the whole city. And, it's just one of those things where you're proud to say that you're from around the area outside to outsiders. You know what I'm saying? And they hear about it. people from New York, Cali, everybody knows Dearborn.
It's funny, everybody who leaves Southeast Michigan says they're from Detroit, unless you're from Dearborn.
Yeah.
So you got people from Bloomfield when they travel, oh, I'm from Detroit.
Yeah.
Not really from Detroit. But people from Dearborn, no matter where they go, like, oh, I'm from Dearborn.
Yeah.
We don't know Dearborn, let me tell you about it.
That is true.
So that's really cool to have.
Yeah, because you can't, unfortunately, sometimes you can't tell people that you're from Hamtramck, you know what I'm saying? You have to explain a little bit more that you're near Detroit. So with that said, future, can we talk about the future, and what do you envision for Dearborn? What do you see in the future 5 years from now, inshallah? What are the things that you want to see in terms of the city stuff, not the community and stuff like that?
The greatest blessing that happened to me, and all credit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, was before I became mayor, 30 days before I became a father. And so the hat that I've been wearing consistently is, what do we have in the city that's friendly to families, that invites families, that fosters familyness? And so obviously made the investments in parks. We're going to announce in the spring what we're going to do with our libraries to make them more inviting to families and to children, to make them places where children want to go. Because there's new ideas for how you basically evolve the library institution. So we're really excited to be partnering with our library systems to bring forward. It's a $4 to $6 million investment. We're starting with Esper Library and also Bryant Library. We're looking to, we have the results back from our flooding study, from the storm infrastructure that we have underground. And we're looking forward to hopefully presenting that data to the public to say, here's what's wrong with our stormwater infrastructure system. Here's how we get on the path to hopefully fix it. And that's obviously a long-term, it's a $600 to $800 million project that we have to address over the next 10 to 15 years. We have, obviously more park openings that we're excited for, more of the economic development, a new facade over on Warren Avenue. Warren will be completely redone and completed probably come 2027, but the renderings will be unveiled for Warren Avenue next year. Yes. And so there's really so much happening, new employers that are moving into the city. We obviously announced in the Mayor's Minute what's happening with Village Plaza. Look forward to those developments coming in next year. Might have some news on the Hyatt coming for you in the first few months of the new year, and more things along those lines.
And the new and improved, we're going to have Brother Hassan Shami on the show, the canteen. That's
beautiful.
Another hot spot that, people can go and enjoy as well in the city of Dearborn. So, man, listen, I love that you said that having the daughter helped you kind of shape the way, so shout out to your daughter, man. Yeah. We got her to thank, you know what I'm saying, for all the great things. Alhamdulillah, man, for all the great things happening. So, again, wanted to just get a quick rundown of what's going on in the city of Dearborn. Okay, now we're going to get into obviously a little bit more of the serious topics when we're talking about sectarianism and nationalism. But before we do that, Yusuf, can we run a quick Malik El Kebab ad? And then we're going to get that rolling. So shout out to Malik El Kebab. Malik El Kebab has become noted as one of the best Middle Eastern restaurants in the Metro Detroit area. The restaurant has become a popular destination for visitors and is always full of satisfied locals who are proud to invite their guests to taste real Middle Eastern food. With options like shish platters, shawarma plates, shawarma sandwiches, lamb chops, fattoush, and tabbouleh salads, you can never go wrong when you choose to eat at Malik El Kebab. They currently have 3 locations: West Dearborn, Taylor, and Trenton. Be sure to stop by Malik El Kebab to satisfy all of your Middle Eastern cravings. You can also visit them at their website, malikkebab.com. All right, we're officially back. So let's get straight to it, right, Mayor? First of all, let's put something out there first and foremost. Obviously we're speaking and we are looking at it from our perspective of bringing people together. Like I said earlier, you can't make action before, but we got to communicate first. We got to talk about it. We got to address these issues, and then we can start taking action as well. And I also want to say that shout out to the mayor. He actually came up to me and was like, hey, and shout out to Musa from the TCD. We appreciate him as well. Kind of was like the middleman, and they wanted, and Mayor Abdullah Hammoud wanted to have this conversation. And when he came up to me, this was a no-brainer to me. This is the stuff that, we can all agree on and have the conversation about it and address these kind of issues. So, a lot of people in the community are concerned with the rise of sectarianism in the city. What do you have to say about that? Let's start off with that. Like, what are your thoughts on it, and what do you have to say about that?
It's a disease. Those are my initial thoughts. Honestly, there's many a times people don't understand the other because they don't have open minds, open hearts. The akhlaq is not what's leading. It's this mindset of being boxed in. I'm right, they're wrong, so on and so forth. And I often tell folk is, alhamdulillah, we have so many masajid across the city. I've prayed at all of them. Sometimes for Salat al-Jum'ah, I pray at 4 different masjids at Salat al-Jum'ah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't know if he's accepting all 4 or not. Hopefully he does. I get the extra bonus. But I'm at the Sunni masajid, they're so packed. They have a 11, a 12, and a 1. Alhamdulillah, the Shia pray a little bit later until I make the 2. But for sectarianism, really, it's a disease that we need to call out. It doesn't matter what madhab you're affiliated with. What matters is that you're a decent and good moral human being. And people have misconceptions of Shias, of Sunnis, of whatever it might be. And what I tell folk is that, great, you can have philosophical and theological debate. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it gets into hating the other for not understanding or speaking without understanding facts, and these are all things that you're going to have to stand to account for. And I don't think people understand that. And I see it dividing our community. And I tell folk, I was like, let's look overseas. The people of Palestine, the people of Yemen, the people of Lebanon, the people of Iraq, the people of Syria, they're all being bombed. And those bombing them don't care if their hands are to their side when they're praying or at their waist and stomach when they're praying. They don't care. And so if they don't care, why do we care? Why are we not unified and coming together as a community under the umbrella that brings us together? Whether it's being Muslims or being Arab. Unfortunately, we're not able to do that. And I try to dispel a lot of these myths. Like I was at Masjid Dix after the passing, Abdullah Hammoud, of the officer in Hamtramck. Yeah. And Sheikh Bilal was speaking. And it was in the month of Muharram. And he was talking sacrifice. And I tell folk, I was like, you want to talk sectarianism? Calling out some of the Shia folk. I said, listen, I'm at the masjid many a time in the Sunni masajid when they're talking of the sacrifice of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when they're talking of Ahlul Bayt. 9 times out of 10, they're talking of Ahlul Bayt. Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, you guys don't understand. Go pray side by side. And then to my Sunni sisters and brothers, the same thing. Oftentimes there's a misconception of what the Shia believe, shirk, so on and so forth. And I say that that's not at all what's happening. Let's open your eyes. Come to our masajid. Come see what's also being preached at the mambar. And so too often times, though, we try to divide ourselves. That this is a Sunni mosque or this is a Shia mosque. The reality is, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's masjid. It's not affiliated by by what country of origin, and it's not affiliated by what madhab. That's the truth of it. It's a place of worship. Where all salat, inshallah, are accepted as long as they're sincere. And so I really hate when I hear of children coming home from school and an exchange happened. This is happening in our high schools or happening in our middle schools. Or I get a call from my police saying, yo, we were in downtown West Dearborn. And people are lined up. Flags on one side, flags on the other, shouting at each other. Who's winning and who's gaining because of this? It's not our community. It's not the Sunni, it's not the Shia. It's not the Christian, it's not anybody. It's not the Yemeni, it's not the Lebanese, it's not the Iraqi, it's not the Palestinian or the Saudi. It's not. We're losing when we're infighting. And others who want to see us oppressed are celebrating. And I wish that message was out there more.
First of all, give that a round of applause, man, because I couldn't have not said that any better. There's a couple things I just want to touch on with that. Number one, you mentioned who's winning, and it's the people who want to see us fail.
Of course.
Who want to see, the Arab, the Muslims, to not succeed in whatever it is that they're trying to do. And you bring up a great point. And I always say this every time any kind of this conversation comes up is we have so many issues, so many bigger issues to be worried about in this world before we even start that conversation. That's why I don't even like even having the conversation with people, because you mentioned what's happening back home. You can label every single country and they have something going on that maybe there's something that we can do about it here and where we're at. And even if it's just sharing it, on social media, that's the kind of conversations I think we need to be having. Those are the kind of things that we should be addressing as a community first and foremost. It's like it's like an onion, right?
Of course.
You want to, get before you even get to that part, address the other stuff, mental health, addiction. These are stuff that are happening in our community right in front of our faces.
Correct.
But we want to argue about something that's thousands, like you said too, very important. You don't even know the facts.
Correct.
People, it's so, how bad it is to talk about something that you don't know is factually true, especially when it comes to the religion. That's something that's very looked down upon and it's frowned upon. That's why it's best to just stay quiet.
Even to speak ill of another Muslim. Yeah, right? You're going to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for judgment for that. That's on you. Yeah. Even if it's forwarding a WhatsApp, right? People think, none of this stuff is counting against them. You have to be conscious of all of this. But ultimately, it boils down to what you want to go out there and you want to engage in this conversation, and you have to step back and ask yourself, well, why do I want to do that? What point am I trying to prove? Is the debate or the conversation I'm trying to engage to better and move the whole community forward? Or is it to further divide and draw lines and to say that I'm right and you're wrong and so on and so forth? That's not what we should be doing. This is a time, more than any other, we saw what happened this last election cycle. The genocide in Palestine is ongoing, and we were trying to raise our voices, and nobody was saying, oh, it's the Shia, or oh, it's the Sunni it's the Muslim community that is. When they're calling us terrorists, they're calling all Muslims terrorists. When there was a Muslim ban, it wasn't a Shia ban or a Sunni ban, it was all Muslim ban. And people forget that. If the enemies against the community will continually bombard and bomb our ancestral homes, do not care for your madhab or how you're praying or who you pray to, why is it that when we come here to the city of Dearborn, Hamtramck, Dearborn Heights, broader Detroit, whatever it might be, that we continually want to anchor in this debate? And more importantly, why are we passing this down to our children so that they enter this debate? When I grew up, it wasn't as present as it was now. We didn't care as much. Your friends were Iraqi, Yemeni, it doesn't matter. We didn't think about it. But now it seems to be that it's very prevalent, it's very top of mind. You have these, Instagram figures who talk about this issue 9 times out of 10. And in my mind, it drives me crazy because it just drives divide within our community, and it's not benefiting or helping us move forward in any way.
And I love that you say that, because we have to really think outside of the box when we have these kind of conversations. People who are not from around here label us all the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's either Arab, it's either Muslims, or it's either terrorists.
Yeah.
If you're brown, you're one of those 3 things. I don't care who you are or what your background is. Do you think some people are educated enough to know the difference between a Lebanese or Yemeni or Palestini or Iraqi? Sometimes I can't even tell the difference of a person unless you actually talk to them and they say who they are. You know what I'm saying? So you guys, that's what I'm like. We got to think bigger picture. We got to think outside of the box, outside of this city, outside of our community. We're labeled as one.
I know. We're
already being labeled as one. So let's act like it. You know what I'm saying?
Ibrahim Ayash is a very good friend and a brother of mine. When I was in Lansing as a state rep, I gave my farewell speech. And there were a few Arab actually in Lansing. Me, Ibrahim Ayash were the 2 Arab Muslim. And then you also had Yusuf Rabi, who's, non-Muslim Arab. Yusuf Rabi is like 6'3", 6'4". We look nothing alike.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times people confused him and I for one another. And so in my speech, I said, let me introduce myself. My name is not Yusuf Rabi, because a lot of people would walk up to me and ask me about the city of Ann Arbor, which he represented, and Yusuf Rabi, and people laughed. When I concluded my speech, it's to the point that, obviously Arab get confused for one another. When I finished my speech, many members of the legislature walked up to Ibrahim Ayash and congratulated him on the speech that he just gave. And I tell people, I don't look like Ibrahim either. I love you, Abe. We don't look alike.
That's funny.
And so it just emphasizes that point. People don't know the difference. They can't even tell us apart. But somehow we're able to divide one another depending on what part of the world you came from. Like I tell everybody, asli Lebanese, or afwan, dami Lebanese, albi Falastini, asli Yemeni.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. And that's very funny. That's a perfect example, though. Like, people need to understand that, man. And I know we're having the conversation. Great first step. And I'm very happy that we're doing this. But, the goal, inshallah, is to take action and move things forward. And inshallah. So, we talk about sectarianism. And I know we kind of are talking about nationalism as well. Does anything, do you have anything else you want to change about what you just said as well or mention?
It's linked. And listen, there is no problem of being proud of where you come from. Be as proud as you like. There's nothing wrong with it. When pride crosses into arrogance and arrogance crosses into kind of this territorial nature, I think that's where we have problems. And I think that's where we have to be thoughtful, not just as Muslim or as Arab, but as human beings. We have to be thoughtful in this sense. Nothing wrong with being proud to be Yemeni, proud to be Lebanese, or whatever else it might be. I welcome it. It should happen. We should be celebrating all the cultures. All of our cultures have something unique to offer in this world. And historically speaking, there's so much that Muslims, historically speaking, have offered humankind. And so there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you come from. But when you cross into that nationalism, or you're drawing that line of I am this and I don't affiliate with something else, that is really where it gets problematic.
And I'm happy that you said that too, because I actually love it. When I see people proud of where they're from.
Absolutely.
I want people to be proud of where they're from. When I used to be a teacher, I used to get so upset at the students who kind of weren't proud about, you know, who they were or their, you know, their family or where they were from. Because I used to tell them, like, you are only you. There's only one you. You know what I mean? And so you should be proud from where you're from. But like you said, that's when their pride and arrogance, when it does come in, that's when you have an issue.
Correct.
And pride is something, again, if we're talking, you know, I mean, I think in any religion, pride is never a good thing. You know, too much of it.
Yeah.
So, you know, be proud from where you're from, but don't cross the line. You know, hey, I'm Yemeni. I'm proud to be Yemeni, but that doesn't mean that I don't love my brothers and sisters from so-and-so place and so-and-so place. So that's the kind of mindset I think that people need to have, you know?
Yeah, and I'd even say, like, you know, speaking as a Lebanese Shiite, right? I'm going to call out people from my quote-unquote my own circle before I call out anybody else. I'm not coming on here to call out, oh, you know, I've heard you say, no. I'm going to start with my own community, with my own, you know, folks in circles who I may run with, who I heard say dangerous things.
Yeah.
That's where I'm starting.
Yeah.
You know, you need to dial it back. You know, have you ever sat at another masjid where you have a Sunni sheikh preaching? Do you know, have you ever met Sheikh Al-Masmari? Imam Swag? You ever met him before?
Yeah, I have.
Not only will he beat you on the courts, but he'll beat you in a debate.
There you go.
We're happy to engage in it. And so I think hopefully we can create opportunities where we bring all Muslims together to have these conversations. Something I would love to see is a joint Eid prayer.
That would be amazing.
You know?
How many people would be at one? That'd be amazing.
It'd be remarkable. Yeah. And it's like, okay, great. You know, we can switch it up. 10 o'clock, you have, you know, Sheikh from Masjid Dix. 11 o'clock, Sheikh from the ICA. 12 o'clock, whatever it might be. And it's okay. But why can't we come together and pray in one congregation also? So I'd love to see more of this happening, more of these opportunities to engage in thoughtful conversation. Thoughtful conversation is great. Again, pure theological debate, you know. I'm not a theologian, I'm not a sheikh, I'm not an imam. I didn't study this. And so I don't engage in that conversation because I have nothing to offer. But I think, again, be wise about what you're engaging in and what your intentions are. If your intentions aren't pure, stay away. And if somebody seems to be ignorant and you're trying to engage in conversation, understand, you're never going to win a debate with an ignorant individual. Step back and move on.
You're never going to change someone's mind like that over Instagram comments.
Ask yourself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, perfect your morals first. Look in the mirror before you look outside the window.
And if you did that, I promise you wouldn't be commenting on Instagram or on TikTok about that whole situation. If you really did do that. Community leaders, you kind of mentioned them. What roles do they play, you know, in this whole situation?
Your role models. You know, people are looking to, you know, what you're tweeting, what you're posting on Instagram, what you're saying constantly. When you enter a podcast or enter a room, people are going to copy and paste what you say and put it in a WhatsApp thread or regurgitate it and use it in a conversation or debate that they enter. Be mindful of what you're saying. It's extremely important. You have a responsibility that's on your shoulders that's greater than any other individual, especially if you have a following, especially if you're a role model, if you're a community leader, elected official, whatever it might be. So again, you know, be very, very mindful of what you're saying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasbak alayha. That's just the truth of it. That's what I have learned, and I believe that to be true.
There you go, man. Go ahead and give this guy a round of applause. Hey, this is not scripted, man. And by the way, that's not me. You know, I'm talking to the crowd that's in the back. You know, they like to give a round of applause.
Yeah.
You know,
shout out to Yusuf.
Yeah. Yusuf, let's give a shout out to Wing Fellas. All this talking, I don't know, is getting me hungry, Mayor. So shout out to Wing Fellas. And then we're going to keep it rolling. We appreciate Wing Fellas and their support. So shout out to Wing Fellas. Do you know what goes perfect with the big game or your favorite TV show? Some deliciously tender wings from Wing Fellas. Wing Fellas restaurant is home to the best wings in Michigan. With over 20 different sauces and seasonings to choose from, you can make sure every wing order you make caters to your taste buds. They have 7 different locations in Michigan. They have a location in Dearborn, Southfield, Detroit, Belleville, Wyandotte, Flint, and Taylor. So no matter where you are at in the state, Wing Fellas is your one-stop shop for some fall-off-the-bone wings. Also, be sure to visit them at their website at thewingfellas.com. All right, we're officially back. Shout out to Mayor Abdullah Hammoud in the building today, and he's over here speaking facts today as well, as always. So any you know, I don't want to just close out that conversation, you know, because there's so many layers to it, and obviously this is not the end of this kind of conversation. But anything that you also want to add on and say that as well?
Yeah, I'll conclude with this.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, when people enter this conversation or debate, they're trying to prove their point and prove that they're right. And oftentimes when you're trying to, you know, people are trying to prove that you're wrong, you also get defensive and you're trying to prove your position as well. Maybe, just maybe, aspects of what you have to say are 100% correct and right, and aspects of what the other individual are saying are also 100% correct. It's not always somebody is wrong and somebody's right. Maybe you have a different interpretation, a different lens, but maybe, just maybe, be humble enough to think that there's room for all of you to be right in the debate and conversation that you're entering. I know I'm being kind of vague for particular reasons, but there's so much happening in this world. There's much a debate about what's happening in Palestine and Syria and Lebanon and Iraq and so on and so forth. So just be mindful when you enter those conversations as well from the nationalistic lens, which also is encircled with the sectarian lens. Just be mindful. Take a step back. Maybe what you have to say, there's merit to what you're saying. There's also merit to what they're saying. So listen with an open heart.
I love that too, man, and I agree. It's enough to where someone can understand that they've been in a discussion before or a debate. It doesn't have to necessarily just be about this. It could be about anything where you both can be right. So. It doesn't necessarily have to be that someone is wrong. In terms of the whole conversation, though, let's say there's other cities, because you're the mayor of Dearborn. What advice would you give to other mayors or other leaders from other communities who might be, dealing with the same situation, or how to address the situation?
Lead by example. Don't let people push you to engage in that conversation. Be seen in all circles, in all communities, in all masajid. So nobody can say, well, I've never seen them here, so on and so forth. You have that extra responsibility. I am not required to go pray at Masjid al-Huda or Masjid Dix or Masjid al-Salam or ICD. I'm not required to do that. It's not a part of my job. When you run for mayor, you don't have to pray at these masajid. But I want to. I love the people in those masajid. Many of the shuyukha are good friends of mine who I lean on in times of difficulty need. I call, I pick up the phone, I ask for support. And third, a part of it is, you also want to be seen and visible there to demonstrate to the community that I do not distinguish myself by saying I only am affiliated with this one masjid. I am Muslim, I am Arab, I'm a member of this overall community, and inshallah I want to stand side by side with you if you'll have me and pray beside you.
Love that, man. Love that. And that's what needs to be said, man. And that's why kudos to you, Mayor. Like I said, you do a great job, man. You very well spoken, and that's why you are our representation, man.
I appreciate it.
So we're going to be sending you out to all these different projects and events. But yeah, we got Mayor Abdullah. He's here to represent us. So,
and the last one I'll say is, as a Shia, I love to iftar with my Sunni sisters.
There you go. Yeah, that's funny, man. But yeah, man, that's what it's all about. Honestly, I promise you, it's so much. You got to be open-minded as an individual.
Absolutely.
Like no matter what you do in life, you have to be open-minded. You have to know that there's other ways of thinking, other ways of living that people have. And that's fine. That's fine. Let them be. You are going to be judged on what you are as a person and what you do.
Correct.
You're not going to be judged for so-and-so. Believe it or not, you're not even going to be judged for your mother or father of your own. Like, it's you. It's how you act and how you handle certain situations. So, honestly, I don't want to say just worry about yourself, but in a way, just be concerned with what you're doing, with also showing love and respect to others as well, man. How we should be carrying ourselves. So, it's very simple. I swear, I think it's very simple, but we complicate it.
Correct.
We complicate things,
and we complicate it because we're privileged. Dearborn is a unique community.
Yeah,
we're successful, we're thriving, we're flourishing, and because of that, we have this sense of entitlement where we think now we can enter this conversation and debate. I mean, step back. Unless you're masoom, don't enter this conversation.
Yeah.
Last I checked, ain't none of us masoomin.
Yeah.
So step back. And again, reflect on yourself.
And also our brothers and sisters back home, too. If you reflect on that, then, you'll understand your priorities in life. I feel like that's a great point, man. I think that's a great point, is that we've become too,
comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. And, let's focus on the stuff that's still happening out there in the world today, man. So shout out to the mayor. Those more, serious conversations. But now we're going to have a little bit of fun with rapid fire.
Okay.
This is more, fun questions that we want to ask you. I'm reading through them right now, too. So, because the goal for me is to read them off quickly, too. So I don't want to mess up and stutter. And I'm looking at these. I'm like, it's kind of funny, some of them. But we're going to have Yusuf ready to go. Just give me the thumbs up. Make sure the camera is on the mayor. And if you can, Yusuf, we're going to try to time it, because we're going to try to get this done under a minute. Is that what we usually do, Yusuf? So under a minute, rapid fire questions. Let's get to know the mayor of Dearborn, Mayor Abdullah Hammoud, a little better. For those of you that are at home, you probably just see him in the interviews. There's always serious conversations. So, we want to make sure that we show that, he has a sense of humor side as well. So whenever you're ready, Yusuf, give me a thumbs up, and then we'll get it started, all right? Go. If you could have any superpower to help run the city, what would it be?
The power to produce unlimited money.
There you go. If you weren't the mayor of Dearborn, what would you be doing?
Father, full time.
Wow. If the city had an official animal, what would it be and why?
Does the tractor count?
I mean, I don't know. Is that?
I don't know. An animal, that's a tough one. My favorite animal is a penguin. I'm not sure why, but it is.
I'm glad you ain't say Wolverine.
Yeah.
All right. That's what I'm saying. What's your favorite go-to song right now, if you have one?
This is an interesting one. Anything J. Cole.
There you go. I respect that. If you could rename the city for a day, what would you call it? And that's some tough ones, man.
It is a tough one. If you can rename the city, what would you call it? That is a tough one. Full disclaimer, we're not renaming the city.
Yeah.
That was a rumor when I first came in. I don't know. Ahlan wa sahlan.
Ahlan wa sahlan. What's your favorite TV show?
Breaking Bad all time. I love Game of Thrones. There's a new show I just started with my wife called Shrinking. It's a very funny show.
That's funny.
Highly recommend.
LeBron or MJ?
MJ.
Okay. I'm glad you said that because, other than the Michigan helmet, what's the most unusual item in your office? And that was specifically made by me, by the way, that comment.
Yeah. I got this olive branch. And do you still have more questions? I'll come back to the story. Let's tell the story.
I mean, I got 3 more questions.
Okay, go for it. I'll come back to the story.
Okay. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
ملوخية.
There we go. What's the funniest complaint you've ever received from a citizen?
That the garbage was picked up too early.
Bonus. I work for the city of Hamtramck. That's why I'm laughing. That's the biggest complaint as well. Bonus question is just, what's your favorite community podcast to come on? And you know what I'm saying?
Ozmedia. Where we at?
There we go. I appreciate that. Want to give that a round of applause. But let's go back to this.
The olive branch.
The olive branch.
So the first year of homecoming, I was driving the golf carts, taking people to and from their cars. Okay. And we had this couple from Allen Park. They're in the golf cart, taking them back to their car. And when I dropped them off, they wanted to give me a tip. And I said, no need for the tip. Thank you so much. I'm kind of dressed casually as I was now. And
they didn't know who you are?
No idea. They're like, well, do you work for the city? I was like, yeah, I work for the city. They're like, what do you do? I laughed. I said, oh, I'm the mayor. They laughed hysterically. They said that was a very funny joke. I was like, I know, isn't it? It's very funny. One day, hopefully. And so they got out their car and they go home. The next week, I get this package with a letter. And it's this couple from Allen Park again. And they said, listen, my husband and I were laughing when we got home about this joke that you made that you were the mayor. So we decided to look up to see who the actual mayor of the city of Dearborn was, and your picture came up. And we are so sorry we didn't take you seriously. And they sent an olive branch to make peace.
That's funny.
And so I still have that in my office. It's very thoughtful. So shout out to them. But it's a funny story.
Yeah, that is actually very funny.
Yeah.
You probably were young. Really, I mean, you're already young.
3 years ago.
Yeah, very young looking. You know what I'm saying? So, I can see where they're coming from with that one too. So that's pretty funny, man. But listen, Mayor Abdullah Hammoud, that's what we got. Any final words that you want to say? Final comments? You know, the whole goal of this is to, you want to say anything to the community, to the residents, to anything that you would like to mention or close out.
First and foremost, shout out to Oz. Thank you so much for having me on. Yusuf, thank you so much for all you do. And thank you for agreeing to have this conversation. It's not easy. Dearborn is an incredibly beautiful place. I think it's the greatest city in the world. And it's the greatest city in the world because of the people that call it home and make it home. Whether it's the businesses, the food that we're all surrounding ourselves with, the beautiful drinks. We have an opportunity to do something great with the city. And that opportunity comes with immense responsibility. But the responsibility is not just about what we're doing to ensure we have the best quality of life. It's what are we doing to pass this on to our children, to our grandchildren, to make sure they have the best quality of life. And so what I'm asking to all those who are tuning in, to all the Arabs, to all the Muslimin, to all the whoever you are, whatever you are within the city of Dearborn, it doesn't matter. Come together, love one another for who you are, have respect for one another first and foremost, because respect is the ultimate key and the ultimate value that we have to uphold in order for us to move hand in hand and keep ushering the city. And so, thank you again for having me. Shout out to all of Dearborn. Thank you for allowing me to do what I do. It's a privilege. I'm humbled by it. And inshallah, it's not the last time we're on this podcast.
Inshallah. And I just want to let you know that you're doing a great job.
I appreciate it.
So shout out to you. Kudos to you and all the great work that you're doing. Shout out to everyone that's, out there, putting their,
team.
but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, I know you would say it as well. Like you said, it's a team effort. There's a lot of Arab Muslim people out there who are on the front lines getting things done behind closed doors that we don't know about.
Absolutely.
So kudos to all those guys too, and women out there that are doing big things for us, putting our names out there. Just think about where we were 10 years ago to now.
Absolutely.
Made a lot of movement out there in the world. So kudos to all of you. Again, this topic was all about talking and addressing about sectarianism and nationalism. We also got a nice little breakdown of what's happening in the city of Dearborn and inshallah in the future. Now, this was season 4, episode 14 of Motivate Me 313's podcast. Be sure to follow us on all of our socials: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Apple, and Spotify podcasts, all under ozmedia. You can find all those channels on our website at ozmedia313.com. And one last shout out to the sponsors: Hanley International Academy, Holy Bowly, Wing Fellas, Juice Box, Jebel Coffee House, Malika Kebab, Royal Kebab. We appreciate them and their support. We appreciate you and your support as always. Shout out to Yusuf. Shout out to the wife as well for making this amazing Adani Shahi.
Really good.
Yep. And now you're going to be awake now. So get more work done, I guess. Kudos to you, man. Again, we appreciate you. And thank you all for watching and tuning in. We'll see you all next time.
Inshallah.